I got a request to do a sort of video review on the Cleverly Bellew Gloves Are Off footage with, I think it's Gloves Are Off, the one with Johnny Nelson and both guys sitting the wrong way on a chair. And I wanted to do put down a few thoughts on that one. Now, I also, and for anyone who's interested, check out Johnny Nelson's recent interview on IFL TV, because he makes reference to there being some behind the scenes stuff that wasn't filmed because the fighters weren't mic'd up and stuff, but apparently it was very, very tense before filming. Bellew was being particularly aggressive and, you know, threatening that today had the potential to really, really kick off. So it was obviously very tense. It is two guys who don't like each other. I think Tony Bellew's dislike is certainly stronger than Nathan Cleverly's. Bellew seems obsessed. I think Cleverly at one point said, "Look, I don't hate Tony Bellew, he's nothing to me." And Tony Bellew said, "No, I hate you." I think he goes on to say, there isn't an hour in any day where you don't cross my mind. You know, Bellew's completely obsessed. He refused to acknowledge any sort of suggestion about what would happen if he would lose the fight. He seemed like a man on the edge, you know, emotionally. He seems like a man who, you know, is dangerous. He went on to say as well that he viewed Nathan Cleverly as quite fragile. You know, Cleverly had sort of other options. He's got his academic background. He considered retirement after the Kovalev loss, whereas for Bellew, this is all he had. Yeah, Bellew would never retire. Bellew's going to keep fighting. It's the only way he's got of feeding his kids. There was all of the classic Bellew chat, you know, full of passion, full of anger. He is a good WWE style speaker, Tony Bellew. I think, for me, I struggle to buy into it because it's so, you know, it's great having all the passion in the world. It's great having the emotion and the hatred. You know, that can possibly give you an extra 1 or 2% on fight night. It can certainly give you an extra, you know, 10% in training, and it will help Bellew get in the best position to be in. But my difficulty is I think Bellew needs more than an extra 1 or 2% on fight night, because I think it's great to have all the emotion, all the hatred, all the obsession you like, but when you're in against a guy with far more advanced attributes than yourself, you're in trouble. I won't go into that now because I've discussed this fight in enough detail, and I'll probably do another video on it before the actual fight night, so I won't go into the fight stylistically. But yeah, Tony Bellew does his best job of coming across like a nutter as always. For me, the chat between these two isn't very fresh. Frost Groves, it was sort of new. I hadn't seen anything completely like it before. It was almost unique. You could see that George Groves' games were affecting Frost. Frost looked very uncomfortable. At other times, Kelbrook Amir Khan, the Gale Groves, there's almost like this schoolyard hatred between the couples, which is very, very entertaining from a, again, WWE style perspective. For me, all of those rivalries, Hey Harrison, Brooke Khan, Hey Fury, Groves the Gale, Frost Groves, all of those rivalries are slightly more entertaining than Cleverly Bellew. Because what you have here is one guy, Tony Bellew, who comes across like an absolute psycho. Not in a bad way, but you know, he comes across like an emotional wreck, sort of. He could snap at any moment, no self-control. And you got another guy, Nathan Cleverly, who just doesn't buy into it at all. He seems completely unfazed. He stays very, very calm. He doesn't buy into it as much. And I think, for me, Cleverly is almost above the banter, but he knows he needs to play his part in order to get paid, to promote the fight, etc. But the chat between them is, yeah, it's getting stale now. How many more times is Tony Bellew going to ask Nathan Cleverly why he didn't grant the immediate rematch? I mean, do we have to listen to that much more? How many times do we have to hear about Cleverly having the speed, Bellew having the power? How many times do we have to hear about the weights being different, from light heavyweight to cruiserweight? That Nathan Cleverly said he was going to retire after Sergei Kovalev. I mean, to me, they're all valid points, but we've heard them so many times, been there, done that, and it kind of isn't overly relevant to the fight. I mean, Nathan Cleverly may have been beaten up by Kovalev, he may have considered retiring, he may be less of a cruiserweight than Tony Bellew, he may not have granted Tony Bellew a rematch, he may have been abusive to Tony Bellew, and then we'll get to fight night, and Cleverly will still have better feet, still have better hand speed, and still be a more complete fighter. For me, it isn't necessarily fresh, it's not new, it's almost predictable. When Johnny Nelson was asking the questions, and I mean, I follow this rivalry all the way, so maybe I'm more up to date, and maybe the casual fan is tuning in on Sky, getting excited, maybe this will be new to them, but for me, when Johnny Nelson was asking the questions, I already knew what the answers were going to be, which, it doesn't mean it's not good TV, it doesn't mean it's not entertaining. You like to see as much boxing coverage as possible, but to me it's not quite got the same edge to it as a DeGale Groves, a Groves Frott, etc. And I think because Nathan Cleverly comes across as very calm, very aloof, it doesn't have the same sort of schoolyard entertainment of a Brooke Khan or a Fury Hay, if you like. But we shall see. It wouldn't surprise me, let's be honest, the cruiserweight division isn't necessarily a money division at the minute. If this fight is close, or if Bellew does win, and I expect Cleverly to win, but if Bellew wins, or if it's a draw, if Cleverly wins in close circumstances, it wouldn't surprise me to see a third fight between these two. Because I know there's certain names in the cruiserweight division, Marco Hook being the main one, but he's moving up to heavyweight, and if we take him out of the equation, there probably isn't actually a bigger fight at cruiserweight than Cleverly Bellew 3. So I'm thinking that there's already some discussion about that being in the works, and that's why they're giving this so much coverage. It'd be another pay-per-view for Sky, you never know. And I think that is conceivable, because I think Cleverly will win, and I don't think Cleverly will stop Bellew. I don't view Clev as a massive puncher. So it is conceivable that there could be a third fight. I don't expect this fight to end in devastating fashion. But that's by the by. That's my thoughts anyway. Interested to hear what other people are thinking on this fight, on the coverage. I understand there's a substantial build-up to this with a press conference behind the ropes. Obviously we've got a weigh-in, so check back to my channel and I will keep covering that throughout the course of the week. Follow me on Twitter @BoxingGossip.